My name is Carlie Frans, and I'm an employee here at Providence Kodiak Island Medical Center.
My name is Innocent Philo. I'm the chaplain here at this hospital. Let's start with the story of what happened to your husband.
I was at work. I was upstairs visiting with Chris Long. She's a coworker of ours who was getting chemotherapy at the time, and I was talking with her, and all of a sudden we had to stop because an ambulance was so loud outside the building. I mean, it was louder than any ambulance I'd heard. For some reason, it just seemed so much louder and so much more urgent than I'd ever heard. And so we stopped and we said, wow, that sounds bad, and we continued on our conversation. And then we had to stop again because my phone was ringing. And I looked down and I didn't recognize the number. And my instinct was to dismiss the call so we can continue our conversation. But I had this feeling I needed to answer this phone call for some reason. And so I picked it up and I didn't recognize the voice on the other end. And this person said, "Are you Damien's wife?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "My name is so-and-so. I don't even remember his name. I just wanted to let you know your husband just had an accident." I said, "Okay, what kind of accident?" "Well, he fell off a roof." God, time froze for me. It was almost as though I was having an out-of-body experience. I know the roof he's working on because I dropped him off at work that morning. It's a 2-story building, and it's a pitched roof. I made a joke to him actually that morning before dropping him off. "Don't fall." So he did. He fell. He fell 15 feet from the top, and I would find out later landed 17 feet away from the building onto the gravel, and at the time there was ice on the ground. I abruptly hang up the phone and literally ran down the hallway to the elevators. I went to find you, as a matter of fact. I know now that ambulance I'd heard was actually going to get him. God, I don't know how many minutes it was from the time I got you to the time I was allowed to go in there, but it seemed like hours, and I don't think it was. I just remember sitting there in the waiting room. All of a sudden, I was not an employee of Providence. I was a family member of somebody who was in serious trouble, and I just wanted answers, and I just wanted to know if he was okay. My mind was racing of, did he break his back? Is he paralyzed? I think it was you that got me permission to go in and see him. When I walked in, it was kind of a surreal experience because my coworkers, the people that I interact with daily, were all of a sudden my husband's caregivers. For me, who doesn't have a medical background, I'm the marketing person. I don't deal with patient care on a day-to-day basis. It was so amazing for me to see my coworkers in emergency mode, but being calm and being very professional as they assessed and gave my husband the care that he was needing. Dr. Ferguson, he was the attending physician, so incredibly professional and so calm. He delivered the news to me that he was going to be okay, but he had severely shattered his arm. Basically, the way it was described to me was that his elbow exploded, was the term he used. He landed on his side, luckily, as we would find out later, because any other way he would have landed would have probably resulted in a more devastating injury. The other news that we got, he had a punctured lung, and that was really scary. So I'm sitting there at the bedside of him in the ER in the trauma room. My coworkers who I pass in the hallway, I sometimes see after work, and they became my caregivers. They were my husband's caregiver, but they were my caregivers that day. They reassured me and they let me know that they were going to take good care of him and he was going to be okay, and that whatever I needed, they were there for me.
Having your husband become a patient, you said this changed the way it feels to go from a professional here to really a community member. I'm just curious about how that impacted the way you relate with your coworkers.
I've always had a tremendous respect for those in the medical profession, but seeing them in action as a coordinated team, taking care of him, but also in this very serious situation, having the most professional and calm. I don't know what they do on a day-to-day basis. I don't know what they see on a day-to-day basis. But this was a bad injury. I have to say, by the end of the day, I had this enormous sense of relief. I don't think I would have felt that way had I been with any other group of caregivers. I mean, the situation was not good. He had to end up being transferred to Anchorage because the injuries to his arm were so extensive they couldn't deal with it here. But I felt huge amount of relief and confidence that everything was going to be okay.